So we didn't finish the second paragraph of Beis Gimel. Very interesting shaila that the Rebbe asks over here. He says, as a result of a Golos, so then what happens from the 248, from the Ramach Mitzvah Saseh, we only have Pei Zayin, quoting from the Alter Rebbe. So what's the question? So because we didn't keep his mitzvahs, so he's going to therefore take them away from us. Like he gets broiges, so he pulls it, takes it back. Okay, you don't want, I'm not giving it to you. You want to punish us other ways, but don't take away the mitzvahs. So he answers, it's not a punishment, it's poshet, it's midah keneged midah. We turn, what's mitzvahs? As he said in the previous ois, that mitzvahs express Hashem's rotzen, and he was meidich, that Eibishter's rotzen. As a tam komos, l'mayli mitam v'das, unlike human rotzen, l'mayli mitam v'das is akshonis, simply stubbornness. Whether it's injurious or helpful, he's stubborn as a villain. But the Eibishter's rotzen, l'mayli mitam v'das is, it's just not graspable, but it's something affirmative and positive, not simply digging your heels in. In the words of the Mittel Rebbe, and Chassidus tam komos, it's a reason that's fundamentally hidden from Seichel, but still the tam. So the reason he gave their whole akdom is to say that that's what mitzvahs are. It's the Eibishter's rotzen. So the Eibishter responds, midah keneged midah. So when we no longer express or we transgress his will, so it's like the Eibishter says, what do I need my will for if you're ignoring it? So he withdraws his will. My whole rotzen is, I want you to do Torah mitzvahs. I don't want this. Kipshutta, he's saying, I don't want this anymore. If you don't do it, I don't need this. I need mitzvahs. I need you to do the mitzvahs. And if you're not doing the mitzvahs, I don't need the mitzvahs. So it's a teitzah, not a punishment. It's a natural result that the rotzen of mitzvahs is largely withdrawn. In square brackets, so you have the same layer as I do. It's 3 lines from the top. And that's the deeper meaning of all the warnings, and the rebukes of the Nevi'im, of the prophets, the Bnei Yisrael al-Hedrekim mitzvahs, warning them not to forsake the observance of Torah mitzvahs. That is loirak, not only if you read it simply, if you do this, guys, you're going to be lacking in gashmis de gashpa, exile, and so on. More than the physical lack, that's kind of the punishment, as it were. God's desire for mitzvahs is withdrawn, is removed. You're going to lose the mitzvahs. That's what they're telling them. Ella, but not entirely. God doesn't give up hope on us. So not entirely is the will, the desire for mitzvahs removed. So 87 remain. And it's through them that the world continues to endure. Like the pasuk says. The pasuk says in Yeshaya, "Im lo brisi," if not, this is how Chazal explain it. The simple meaning is, if not for my covenant. No, they're not saying that's Pasha the Pshat actually. Im lo brisi, if not for my covenant, I would not have made heaven and earth. Shemaim va'aretz lo samti. There's other ways to understand the pasuk, but certainly he explains it here, and it's a Chazal that I've only created heaven and earth only because of my covenant. So he doesn't withdraw Zerotzen completely. Hashem doesn't give up hope on us and his purpose in creation and why we're here and the desire for relationship with us. And therefore, Be'etzem, the Rotzen remains, and that's reflected in the Pei Zayin mitzvahs. Mitzvah Saseh. Omnom calls it B'negel mitzvah Saseh. So this whole discussion applies only to the positive commands. Avon mitzvah Saseh. But the negative mitzvahs, nishur b'shleimus, there's virtually no change. All the things that are prohibited remain prohibited. Ve'enam yechedim lizbat ha'lo'elam, and can never be nullified. Kol zman sheyesh mitzvahs aseh, afilu miktzosam. As long as there's some positive commandments, even a little bit, there's going to be all of the negative commandments. So how do we explain this? We said it was midah keneged midah, so we withdraw our desire from mitzvahs. So Shem says, I don't need mitzvahs, and largely withdraws his desire. What about mitzvahs loisaseh? It's a beautiful moshel. Understand this by illustration of a doctor. He tells the patient don't eat certain things which are injurious for his health. And he gives him medication. Is good to strengthen his body. Now, in terms of the medicine, the extreme medicines, depending on the state of the patient. Based on his condition, therefore he gets the drugs, the medication. A little bit, a lot, and likewise, quality of it. So that's the affirmative. What are you going to take? That depends very much on what the, completely, not very much, but entirely on the state of the sickness, of the illness. What not to do. With notwithstanding the distinction, irrespective of how much medication, a lot or little, is administered to him, the negative stuff, that's universal. He's got to be careful and then observe all the warnings, all the things that he's to abstain from. Because strong words here. If he fails to observe one of these don't do's, for the medication is not going to be effective. So this is the power of mitzvahs loisaseh. It comes out, it's not true of the medication. It's not like you got to take all of it, or what I give you is not effective. Maybe not effective enough. But each drug, each mitzvah stands on its own. So the mitzvahs loisaseh, one thing can undo the whole business. You expose yourself to something that you shouldn't. That's it. It renders all the medication useless. There's levels to this. But on this Maimon is not speaking on the atzmisdika level. The Maimon is speaking on a more level of conscious giluyim. So on that level, it's just like in a relationship. It's like in a relationship. Okay, so he failed he forgot an anniversary, he forgot his birthday, but overall he remembered the other things. No, what you remembered, you remembered. But if there's a betrayal, it's a difference if it's one or a million things. That means betrayal is betrayal. Especially as we're learning now in Tanya, Vayedaber. So that like undermines the entire relationship. Forgetting to do something affirmative, okay. But not to do this, that's a dismissal of me completely. Sheer. There's no sheer. That's why he says over here that one makes everything else meaningless, even the good things you do. What does this mean? These gestures of love when you did that, but it's an absolute contradiction. So usually it's quite a sobering thought that Loisa said, no. But Loisa says much deeper, which is why it's universal, it's golus, geula, no matter what, they apply at all times. Because in other words, it's respect. If there's no respect, then the love, what's the meaning of the love? So let's continue. Moving. So they're just finishing the moshel now and applying it to the nimshel. This will understand with this moshel the difference between the affirmative mitzvahs and the prohibitions. The mitzvahs say in yonim what mitzvahs say? That's the relationship whereby we affect we are revealing God's presence. We're relating to God. We're experiencing Him in some deep way. We're engaging the Eibishter. But like the medication, which is affirmative, what does it do? It brings life to the body. energy to the body. So being in Zeh yesh chilukim madreges, so in this relationship, in this life, this experienced life, there's differences. Means man abayis, is man agolus. The love is manifest more or less. If yerech mamod the matzavim shal yisrael, depending on how mayim the matzav at kam yechelim him lifel am shachas yourself. What are the conditions and what's our state and what's our level that we can affect the revelation, the drawing down of the Eibishter into the world? So that depends on the matzav. The relationship has its ups and downs, more loving, less loving, romantic moments, not romantic moments. Our mitzvahs loisase, which is again the fundamental respect, given shin yonam hu, leirak shalai dava mineya. What's mitzvahs loisase? It's not only that there shouldn't be something that gets in the way, and therefore, where the love is expressed or the Eidim is expressed, he has not blocked it. But dugmas has heard us like the doctor's warning when he says, don't do this because this is injurious to your health. I'm sorry, I said the word loy. Opposite. Since the mitzvahs of loisese, hurak, sorry. Start again. Mitzvahs loisese, their whole point is don't do anything that's going to undermine the relationship, undermine the effectiveness of the medication, of the health, of the experience of life. So they conclude that it being in zeh, doesn't matter what the matzav is. Even in the time of Golas and Churban, sheyesh b'yicholtem l'kayim rak mitzvahs, mixtas mitzvahs, even though there's only a few mitzvahs, but the point is, those mitzvahs should be mitzvahs. Tzrichim heim lizoy b'chol shasem mitzvahs leisas. You still got to be careful in all the negative things, because again, that undermines a fundamental relationship. And all the mitzvahs they're going to do, based on what? You've cut me out. I'm not your only one, or in other words. Mitzvahs, I say, you're my only one. And any transgression says, no, you're not. I got something else. Doesn't matter what that is. Big, small, there's something else. So what does the mitzvah say? You don't say anything there. On this level, again, it's not be'etzem, yes, but in Giluyim, now in the brackets he adds an even more sobering thought. Vayedaber k'moshel achayla, using the example, illustration of the sick person. The sicker the person is, the more careful he's got to be in not crossing that line. What to think about that? But anyway, we get the general idea. Look at these words here. This is all based on the Mittel Rebbe. If he transgresses one, his mitzvah saseh will not help. Gonish werd. The Eibishter says about it also, don't. What he's saying, my Torah, you're dragging me into this, into your world. Some money out of 4. Like we learned recently in Tanya. That's why be'etzem, the connection is there. Be'etzem, it's there. It's not like once you do tshuva, now start all over again. The mitzvahs that I did are in place. The tshuva unlocks. So that's is hinting to the be'etzem. In other words, it's not like, don't do mitzvahs. Hey, I sin, so I'm not putting on tefillin. What's the point? Keep on doing all the mitzvahs. They're not expressing the relationship fully. So we'll do tshuva, and in a moment, all the barriers are removed, and all those mitzvahs connect us in the deepest way.
A little tidbit question. Are there any mitzvahs leisase that are totally in mitzvahs asay, like Beis Hamikdash, Inyoni Avodah, don't do this? I mean, we say that all the mitzvahs leisase still are there. I mean, if there's no mitzvah of Vedas Karbonis or whatever it may be in Beis Hamikdash, certain trumas and maestris, does that mean the negative counterpart of it is still there?
What you're asking is many of the loisas are only related to mitzvahs asay. But we're not doing the mitzvahs asay, so we're certainly not doing the mitzvahs loisas. That's what you're asking. They're the flip side of how you bring a korban. You can't pigel, not you can't do noise, you can't do pigel. So the mitzvahs loisas you're saying can only exist. You're asking a question, I think. They can only exist, many of them, if there's mitzvah asay. If there's no mitzvah asay because there's no Beis Hamikdash, it's not like that prohibition exists. It's just bachlal, not negeya. True. But then that result is practically, factually, you still can't do it, even though it's not even possible to not do it because you're not doing the positive where that negative would apply, like bringing your korban, having the wrong machshava, but still the inyan remains. The inyan remains. Don't do it. Okay, tzorchi in a bit. So then they're not like, what? Yeah, nisha b'shleimus, but he's asking, what's the shleimus? It's just not relevant. It's not like there's a situation, don't do it. There's no situation that you can be told not to because we don't bring korbanos. Yeah, but the fact is, don't do. You can't. Anyway, but the prohibition still remains. Certainly in Indian. But still tzorachin a little bit. Tzorachin, it's a good question. Huh?
Does that mean that we're Makayim on those things?
Yeah.
Different way of looking.
Yeah, that's the flip side. So no one's doing pigul, no one's doing noise. There's hundreds of mitzvahs loisas we're not doing. Yeah, that's the flip side. That's a nice positive bracha, value, praise of Eden. Lots of negative commandments. Nobody is transgressing. Abish, you got to be impressed. But there's a word from the Alter Rebbe, I think it's from the Alter Rebbe, that not to sin, the neshama could remain l'mayla. Doesn't sin there either. The tachlis hakavon in the end is there's not only not to sin, but to do mitzvahs.
Might be the place I say. The whole idea is there's no action. It's abstaining from action.
Right.
All the warnings could still exist even today because it's not an actionable item.
Yeah.
So I can tell you today a bunch of things to prevent. I can still tell you those things, regardless of practical, because it doesn't.
That's what we're saying. Practically speaking,
that could come and go.
Yeah. That's the bottom line. That there are things that we don't do, and you don't do them universally, even though there's no situation where you could do it. But fact is that you don't. So again, mitzvahs lois, I say, is the respect. So respect is wonderful, but it's got to be the foundation. So you respect, your spouse. That's where it ends. If she wants to feel your love. Now, the point is, if the love is based on respect, and the love is, as he says here, pointless. But at the end of the day, just to be respectful, yes, dear, yeah, dear, and not to show love, that's not the stuff of a relationship. Now comes a very heavy part of it here. The Maimber, the Rebbe, told us that the Rebbe cried a lot of this Maimber, and clearly in the next paragraph. You have to remember this is 1964, and soon after this period, I think it was Taka 1964 that Mendel came out of Russia. Interesting to see. Soon after the gates opened after this famous Shavuos. It was the Shavuos of Tov Shechav Dalet Chaim. Do you remember? Remember, the story that the Rebbe
I remember, but don't remember enough all the details.
I think it was Taka Chavdala that year that, okay, we'll check it later for the listener tomorrow, we'll rectify it, but the Rebbe said, get a whole bracha then of a Russian Jewry to come out of Russia. And there was a moment, nobody said Amen. It was almost in the middle of the Sikh, like it wasn't even clear that he finished it. The Rebbe got so upset. It was an opportunity. Now I said that thousands, tens of thousands, and nobody, and you had like this, and spilt over his becher. Knocked over the becher. It was a Shavuos, I think Shavuos Verbrengen, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was that year, Chav Dalet, and this Maimer, reflective of, as you'll see more now in the next paragraph, but just after that, the thing is opened. The first Chassidim started coming out. Okay, you have to ascertain the facts here, but I think so. Let's continue. Dalet. Oy gewalt gam lachen ja gurben shnishel lefleto peizain mitzvah asay bavad shnishel lefleto peizain mitzvah bavad even after the Churban Mikdash. That shnishel lefleto means that survived. The expression of surviving attempt at destruction or destruction. So all that's left is 87 mitzvahs meisifa midas hadin lekatrik. The midas hadin doesn't stop. It continues to accuse Yidden v'loima shegam mitzvahs elu. Even these mitzvahs, all I have is 87. Says midas hadin, and look, mekayim b'nei Yisrael rak b'evin the mitzvahs hanoshim u'lemoda. It's a pasuk in Yeshaya. They're keeping mitzvahs only in a way of they've been instructed this way, but not coming from their own desire. By rote. The chosara etzlom, and they're missing, says midas hadin, the chilu v'rechimu avas yiras Hashem and avas Hashem, which says in Zoya, brought in Tanya, Shem Agadfen, they are the wings, shal yodam parchalela, by which the mitzvahs have wings and soar heavenwards. It explains in Tanya at length that without Av and Yira, they're like morebound and earthbound and don't illuminate the heavens or the world. They don't soar. Essential connection is there, but they're not illuminating. That's the metaphor of the wings. The bird's a viable bird, but she can't fly without the wings. At any rate, so they're missing, they do it. It's the dead weight mitzvahs. They're not soaring heaven where they're not inspired by the right wing and the left wing, which is love and awe of God. So the heavenly court argues, that Hashem should withdraw his will. Even the remaining 87. Yidden aren't performing them properly. So why do you need this, says the heavenly court to God? Now comes a Moedidika thing here.
Only the mitzvah, the kitrug is only on the mitzvahs loisase, or even on the mitzvahs asay?
No. The mitzvahs asay, even the ones that they're doing, the loisase remains. The loisase remains. Don't do this. That remains. But the mitzvahs asay, which is the expressions of the love, the connection, they're not even doing that with their heart. So what do you need that for? Again, it's midah keneged midah. God's not like getting vengeful. But midas hadin is saying, why are you still expressing your will in these 87 mitzvahs? They don't care about them. They're just doing them by rote. The mitzvahs leisas say remain because God is not saying abandoning the relationship. So don't do these prohibitions. Don't betray me. Don't walk away from me. But your love is meaningless. No point in that. So Midas Hadin says even the Peizayin mitzvahs, it's just by rote and they're without feeling. And the whole point is it's a loving relationship, and they don't. So what's God's response? It's made a thing here, friends. In order to nullify this accusation, the Eibishter gives into the heart of the non-Jewish leaders to decree against some Jews, even if they're only a small number. It's talking about Russian Jewry relative to Jews all over the world. As a commission Kosov and often mended off this week's parsha, Hashem warns that Yidden should not approach the mountain, the boundaries set, lest many will fall. Rashi says, because even if one Jew falls, it's many. Whoever, God forbid, will fall, God says for me, it's many. It's Klal Yisrael. So Hashem places a number of, puts it in the heart of these leaders, who are and under which dominion Jews live. They should be in a situation they can't do mitzvahs. So what happens is that this Yid is pained, and he cries out to the Eibishter, why did you do this? That I can't do mitzvahs. That's the pain of the Russian Jew, that I can't fulfill your will. But Omra, as he says, Alaleli, woe is to me. Pasuk in Micha. Keli, in Pasuk in Tilim, Keli, Lama Zaftoni, my God, why have you forsaken me? You know the story that Rebbe told by Fabrenga, exactly at this time, how much these years. Rebbe told the story, he was crying. Maybe it was this Fabrenga, I'm going to look it up. Of a Bocher that sent him a letter. You know the Bocher is, it's Mushalovin. Yisrael Yitzchak Mushalovin. Not like Yisrael Yitzchak. Kenzai, yeah. He owns one of the Judaica stores on Kingston Avenue. So managed to get a letter out, smuggled and written in a way that's all veiled, and that was called Uncle or Zayde. And so what is his letter? Not they should get out of Russia, not that they should Panosa, whatever, that he has Machshav Zoris and davening is looking for Eitzah. That's when they were saying yes, and that's correct. Yeah. Alalili, woes to me. And then the Rebbe said, this is on a video, this is on a recording. This was in the Yechidus with one of the other Rebbes, Alexander, maybe one of Alexander Beruzhin, one of those Rebbes. It's recorded. You hear the recording. Jim plays it. The Rebbe is saying that he got a letter, a question from Yidden in Russia. What's the question? His question was, what was his problem? That since he has to go to work on Shabbos, but he didn't actually transgress. But he walked there, whatever it is. So can he make Kiddush? Because he's going to be another Shem Shabbos, so he's invalidating his own wine. Can he make Kiddush for himself? Or be somebody else's wife and children? This is the question. So that's what the Rebbe is saying here. His mitzvah is in pain, and he calls out, Al Heder of Shor Sakam mitzvahs. So this cry that he can't fulfill mitzvahs, that expresses in the deepest way his will and his tainug in mitzvahs. So this is the answer to the heavenly court. And the Rebbe is saying, it's only a small number of jury, but we're all connected. So this justifies and answers the accusation against all Yidden, that it's not mitzvahs that are done by rote. The peizayin mitzvahs is negeya to the very essence of his neshama. That's why he's pained, because he can't. You do it, it's known. Shatzar, pain, is the opposite of the opposite of pleasure. The more he would delight in it, and when it's taken away, as a gadol, greater is the pain. And the fact that he's crying out, this shows that where is his gishmak and his tainug is in Torah mitzvahs, and this redeems Klal Yisrael. They are the korban of Klal Yisrael against the accusation of the Bezdin Shemaila that our mitzvahs are by rote. And moreover, continuing, and therefore, when he has a possibility afterwards to fulfill a mitzvah, as a yekayma some havos gdoili slavic gdoili v'tainuk gdoili. He does so with great enthusiasm and great tainuk. Biglal, because sha'ad ata, because till now never couldn't say these psukim. He was in a situation of Eretz Siva Oyef, a thirsty and exhausted land without water. And this cry of the Yid removes the accusation, the aforementioned accusation, on the 87 mitzvahs that did remain. Moreover, this Mesidas Nefesh of the Russian Eden effects. Shakadosh Baruch Hu yachse v'yitin b'nei Yisrael kol shara mitzvahs. The Eibishter will give back. You want me, I want you, in a revealed way. All the mitzvahs in his battle beis hachurban that were nullified by the churban. Kapizem Muven, and explaining why Mashe Yesh Kama Mi Yisrael Shenitzayim b'mayim with the matzav, why there are some Yidden that are in a situation shein b'chelim l'kaim Torah mitzvahs. Ein zein shel einish chas v'shmas, not a punishment, ela adarab. Zein shel chesed. Ultimately, it's God's kindness. Commission is bodily yel b'ambarim shit. We said the previous Maimorim, which we learned in Basi Legani Tchav Daled, that even the punishments in the Sha'el, that's where he finds the Eibishter. That's a chesed. Sha'torid tiras chesed in all of its expressions. The whole thing is given shakavona bezeh kadei levato akitruk. It's all to nullify the accusation. Al pei zayin mitzvah shenisharu, on the 87 mitzvahs that remain. V'lagalis, and to reveal shekiyumam eine mitzad mitzvahs anoshim l'moda, that the Jews are not doing this simply by rote. And mitzad rotzen v'tainug, the tainug is there, the rotzen is there. And therefore that nullifies the churban. The bring your base of Midrash Hashlishi in the third base of Migdash as Yechelim b'nei Yisrael L'kaim call a mitzvah b'shlei Musa. Then we'll be able to keep all the mitzvahs b'shlei Musa. The question is, God's justifying the Eibishter. The Rebbe is justifying the Eibishter here. So what's the point? You just read. He's saying this is the reason they passed it. Done. Now we deserve the Geula. That's the reason for this justification. To point out that they successfully have passed the test. And moreover, it puts the obligation on us. That these Yidden in Russia, who are representing all of us, because we're all one, Nafal and Menurov, became mitzvahs with Tainug and Einig, because that's reflected in the Tzar. So that should inspire us to do likewise. But the Ikir clearly point of this whole justification of the Maimon the Matzav is to say that they have successfully achieved the goal. Eibishter, let them out. Time of Geula, grant us all your mitzvahs.